everyone. Let's take up a simple question related to graphical presentation of CVP relationships. In this question, we are given details related to selling price and cost. We have to draw a break-even chart showing break-even point, and then we have to show the impact of change in selling price and fixed cost on the break-even point. So we are going to take up this question here. Here selling price per unit is given as rupees 100. So we have entered selling price as rupees 100. Variable cost per unit is sum total of raw material cost, which is given as 30. Labor cost, which is 20 in the question. And variable overheads, which is rupees 10. So sum total of these three items comes to 60. Total fixed cost here is rupees 40,000. Now we can calculate contribution per unit. It is selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. PV ratio is contribution per unit divided by selling price per unit. Now break-even point can be calculated using the formula total fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. This gives break-even point in terms of units, that is 1000 units. Next we are going to calculate break-even point in terms of rupees, which is total fixed cost divided by PV ratio. So we are through with the basic calculations. Now we are going to prepare the table that we'll use for preparing the break-even chart. So in the units column, I start with 0 units. Then I move to 200 units. I'm going to select these two and then drag till the point of 2000 units. Now total fixed cost here is 40,000. So I'm going to select the cell. I'm going to fix it by adding a dollar sign. Total variable cost is number of units multiplied by variable cost per unit. So I'm going to fix variable cost per unit again by adding a dollar sign. Total cost here is total fixed cost plus total variable cost. So now I get total cost. Finally, total revenue is number of units multiplied by selling price per unit, and I'm going to fix selling price per unit by adding a dollar sign. Now I'll prepare a break-even chart. For that, I'm going to select units, total fixed cost, total cost and total revenue. I could have only selected total cost and total revenue, but here I also choose to draw total fixed cost line because in the question, in the B part, we have to show impact of change in fixed cost as well. So that is why I've also selected total fixed cost column. Now I go to insert, scatter with straight lines. I'm going to add chart title over here. Break-even chart. I'm going to label the axis by adding axis titles. So for x-axis, I'm labeling it as units, and y-axis, I'm labeling it as revenue and cost. Now here, the point of intersection of total cost and total revenue is the break-even point. So I'm going to label the data point here. I've selected this point and I'm going to add data label. Now I would also want to make this point prominent so that it is clearly visible. So for that I'm going to select this point again, right click, and I'm going to format the data point. When I go to format the data point, I'm going to click here, fill and line, this icon. Here I can choose marker because now I want to mark my break-even point to make it more prominent. So under marker options, there are some built-in options provided by Excel. So I choose to represent my break-even point through this. And since this is of gray color, I want to change the color so that it becomes more prominent. I prefer to choose black color here. And I would want to increase the size of this mark so that it is prominent. Now see, the point of intersection is now clearly visible. This is the break-even point. We can also do one more thing here. The data label here only shows break-even point in rupees. We can also add break-even point in units here. When we are labeling the data point, we can go to this point again, right click, format data label. Here I get the options, what all do I want to show. So since as of now only Y value is selected, therefore the data label is showing only revenue at break-even point. But if I also choose X value, then it will also show me break-even point in units. So I have clicked on X value. Now see, the point of intersection is clearly visible. This is the break-even point, and this point is labeled as well. It shows units and revenue. So this is the break-even chart that we are required to show in part A of this question. We have to draw a break-even chart showing the break-even point. So we have shown the break-even chart here, break-even chart with break-even point. Now, let's come to part B. In part B, on the same break-even chart, we have to show the impact of each of the following on the break-even point. Now, in order to make our chart a little neat, I prefer to show this part B, in two different steps. In one step, I'll show the impact of change in selling price, and then later on, I'll show the impact of change in fixed cost. So what I'm going to do here is, just for convenience, I'm creating a copy of this, the sheet 1. I'm creating a copy of this sheet. I want to create a copy so that I don't have to draw the chart again, and on the same chart I'll show the impact of change in selling price and fixed cost. So I've created a copy. So now I have two same sheets, in sheet 1 and in sheet 1-2. I have the same chart. See the chart that I have drawn just now. Now in sheet 1, I'm going to show the impact of change in selling price. So if selling price increases by 10%, what will be the new selling price? The new selling price is current selling price multiplied by 1.1, because there's a 10% increase. So 110. And when selling price changes, then contribution will also change. So we are calculating new contribution per unit as well. So new contribution per unit is new selling price minus original variable cost. There is no change in variable cost. So we are going to take the original variable cost for calculating contribution per unit. Now what is the new PV ratio? New PV ratio is new contribution per unit divided by new selling price. Now let us calculate new break-even point also. Because there's a change in contribution per unit, there's a change in PV ratio. Obviously break-even point is going to change. So new break-even point is total fixed cost divided by contribution. And here we are taking new contribution per unit because we are showing the impact of change in selling price. So new break-even point is 800 units. And break-even point in rupees, total fixed cost divided by new PV ratio. So when there is a change in selling price, when selling price increases by 10%, we can see that contribution has increased, PV ratio has increased, break-even point has gone down. So this is the impact of change in selling price. Now we want to see the impact of change in selling price on break-even point on the graph. So this is the graph that we have. This is the break-even chart that we have. Now in this chart we have to show the impact. So what we will do is, in this table I can add a new column. I can call it new total revenue, because selling price has changed, so total revenue is going to change. So new total revenue is number of units multiplied by new selling price. And I am going to fix the new selling price by adding a dollar sign. Now if I drag this, I get new total revenue. So since there's a change in selling price, there's a new total revenue column, and now we need to draw a new total revenue curve over here. In this break-even chart, as of now we have original total revenue and original total cost. Intersection of total revenue and total cost is giving us this break-even point. This is the current situation. But if there's a change in selling price, then we have new total revenue. Now what will be the new break-even point? New break-even point will be the intersection of new total revenue and original total cost. Because total cost has not changed, only revenue has changed. So let us see where is the point of intersection of new total revenue and total cost. For that, we'll click on the chart. Now we will right click on the chart and go to select data. When I go to select data, I get this option to add a new series. So I click over here. Now I want to add the new series. Name of the new series is new total revenue. And X values are number of units, and Y values are new total revenue figures. We can see carefully here the new series is the new total revenue. New total revenue, X values are the number of units and Y values are new total revenue figures for the various units. Now I click OK. I again click OK. Now look at the chart. Now we can see that there's a new line over here, new total revenue line. This new total revenue line, let me increase the size of the chart. That will make it more clear. Right. See, this is the original break-even point. I am moving the label over here. This is the original break-even point. And this is the new break-even point. See, the orange color denotes new total revenue and red color denotes total cost. So this red line intersects the orange line at this point. So this is the new break-even point. Now again, let me make this point more prominent and let me add data label. In order to add data label, I right click on this point. I go to add data label and I click on add data label. So now it is showing me 88,000. Now I would like to make it more prominent. So the way we marked this break-even point, similarly we are going to mark this point as well. So I'll go to this point, I right click on this and I want to format the data point because I want to make it this point prominent. I want to mark it clearly on the graph. So format data point, I again go to this icon and I go to marker. Under marker options, again I can choose any of the built-in options. Suppose now I want to choose this triangle and again I want to change the color here. Suppose I want to, again, okay, let me pick black color again. And I'm increasing the size so that it becomes prominent. See, now we have two break-even points. Again, I have the option to show break-even point in units as well. So I can again go to the data label, data point. I can again select this data point, right click. Just a second. I go to format data label and I have the option to add X value. Here it has started to show me all the data labels. So let me first of all click that data point. Now I'll go to format data label. After clicking on this point of intersection, I click on format data label and I also choose X value. So the way I added units previously, similarly I've again added units over here. So now we can see clearly that original break-even point was at 1000 units and the new break-even point is at 800 units. So we are able to show the impact of increase in selling price by 10% on the same break-even chart. So we have attempted first part here. Selling price increases by 10%. Now let's move to the second part where fixed cost increases by 25%. Now remember we had created a copy of the sheet. So I'm going to the second sheet now, which is a copy. In this sheet, I have the original break-even chart which I had prepared. Now on the original break-even chart, I want to show the impact of change in fixed cost. If fixed cost changes, now I need to make a few changes over here. Now instead of new selling price, I'm going to add new total fixed cost. Now in case fixed cost changes, then there will be no change in contribution per unit and no change in PV ratio, because fixed cost does not have any impact on contribution per unit and PV ratio, but there will be a change in break-even point. So we are going to calculate new break-even point here. Now let us see if fixed cost increases by 25%, what will be the new fixed cost? Original fixed cost multiplied by 1.25. What will be the new break-even point? New total fixed cost. Now since fixed cost has changed, while calculating new break-even point, we will take new total fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, because there is no change in contribution, only fixed cost has changed. And new break-even point in rupees is new total fixed cost divided by PV ratio. So we have done our basic calculations over here. Now in this table, we are going to add new total fixed cost. And if total fixed cost changes, then total cost will also change. So new total cost. So new total fixed cost is 50,000. I'm going to fix the cell by adding a dollar sign. And new total cost is original total variable cost, because there is no change in variable cost, plus new total fixed cost. Now I again drag to get new total fixed cost. So now let us again go back to the question. We have to show on the same break-even chart the impact of change in fixed cost. On the same break-even chart, we have to show what will be the impact of change in fixed cost on the break-even point. So see, this is our original break-even chart which we had drawn. Originally our break-even point, let's again go to this. Originally our break-even point is this 1000 units, which is depicted over here. Now we need to show the new break-even point. So what is the new break-even point? New break-even point is the point where original total revenue intersects the new total cost. So basically in this chart, I need to add new total cost curve. And I would also like to show new total fixed cost. Just to show the changes more clearly, I want to add two series now. What will be the new total fixed cost? And as a result, what will be the new total cost? So I'll click on this chart, original chart. I right click on the chart and go to select data. Now I will add two series here. One new total fixed cost and one new total cost. So let me add one by one. Series name, new total fixed cost. I have selected this cell where new total fixed cost is written. What are the X values? On X axis, we are showing the number of units. So we select this column. On Y, we will show total fixed cost. So I select these. I press OK. I will add one more series because I also want to show new total cost. So what is the name of the new series? New total cost. So I select this cell. On X axis, see, on X axis, we have the number of units. So I select the column of units. On Y axis, I will have new total cost. So I click on OK. I now click on OK. Now let us see our chart now. Let me increase the size of the chart to make it more prominent. To make the curves more prominent, it will be better if we increase the chart size. Now see here. There is original total fixed cost indicated by this light blue color line, and this orange color line indicates new total fixed cost. So we can see that since there's an increase in total fixed cost curve has moved upwards. As a result, new total cost line, which is the blue one, it has, you compare it with the original total cost. So new total cost has also moved upwards. Because total fixed cost has increased, total cost has also gone up, which is indicated by upward shift of the two curves. Now, what is the new break-even point? First of all, let's see. This is our original break-even point. I am moving it here. Now, what is the new break-even point? New break-even point is the point where our total revenue intersects the new total cost. Now, we want to label it. Now, here comes the different approach to represent break-even point. Now, notice one thing. Here, the break-even point is at 1250 units. And these units are not over here. So, it is not a data point. So, when break-even point is such a number which is not a data point, for that we can use the alternate approach which we had discussed in the previous video. So, now let us use that alternate approach here. Now, what we will do for that? We'll click on the chart. Let's right click on the chart. Select data, and I want to add a new series. Now, what is the new series? I want to show new break even. So, I am naming the new series as new break even. And what is the x value of new break even? X on x axis we have units. So, x value will be break even point in units. So, I select this cell where I have calculated break even point in units 1250. And what are the y values? On y axis we have revenues. So, break even point in terms of rupees. So, we'll select this cell where we have calculated new break even point in terms of rupees. Now, I click on OK. Again, I click OK. Nothing is visible on the chart as of now because we have just created a new series. Now, we want it to appear on our chart. So, what do we do over here? What do we do now? We click on the chart. We go to format. Under format, here we click on this arrow and we are going to click on this series, new break even, because we want to show new break even on the chart. So, we will click series new break even. And the series that I have selected, I want to format it. So, just below this, there is this option of format selection. So, I want to format that series. Now, I have the option over here which shows fill and line. Again, I will mark my new data point by choosing the marker options. Now, suppose I choose this to show my break even point, and I prefer to use black color to make it prominent. And again, I would like to increase the size. Now see, our new break-even point is labeled. It is clearly visible, but we are yet to label it. It is visible on the chart now. Now let us click on this point and then right click, because now we want to label it as well. So see what we have done. When it is clearly visible, I click on this point and then right click on it. Again, it shows add data labels. I go to add data label. Just a second. Now format data labels. Again, I am going to see. The data label is added over here because I clicked on add data labels. Now it is showing me the X and Y values both. Let's see why. Let's click on this point. Right click, format data label. Because here X value is also selected. So it is showing me the units as well. I can also click on series name. If I click on series name, Then it also shows me the name of the new series, that is new break even. So now on the same chart, I have shown my original break even point and what will be the impact on break even point if total fixed cost increases. So this way, Excel is a very useful tool for graphical presentation of CVP relationships. On the same graph, whenever there's change in any variable, we can show impact on the same graph without making much changes. Thank you.